Here are the secrets to how teaching yoga online helped me maintain my energy, live my life, and help more people than ever before in my business last year. Let's take a look. The first thing that online yoga helped me do was that I had all my material recorded. I'm a big believer that theory is to be recorded, and the application of that theory can be shared in a group space. This does something very important. Number one, it prevents me from saying the exact same instructions and theory over and over again. And two, it helps me do the actual work with students on a deeper level. Oh, let me clean the camera there. It helps me to actually do the deeper work with students because I'm not repeating myself on the theory. Okay, and the way I do this is group calls. So I would love to tell you that if you run an online business, all your problems in life will just disappear. But that's not the case. And in fact, I would even argue that when you run an online business, you actually come up with more opportunities to grow as a person. What do I mean by that? Well, when you teach yoga online and your main message is recorded and you have set times for community calls, this means you have a lot more time. And having more time means that you can do other things. And doing other things, especially that require you to grow, means that there's more chances for something to be challenging or a lot of work to go through. And this was exactly the case for me last year. I was going through and building all these automations. I was recording all this content for my course, and I had a lot of other things in my life happening at the same time. I was working out. I just had my son. He's now a year old, but for my wife and I, having our first child in a foreign country where we don't speak the language, we don't have any friends or community, and we're there all alone, and my wife and I have been together for a short time too. And then all the effects on her body and the recovery from having a baby, and for me, all the stress and pressure of starting an online business, working in a foreign country, and having to provide for my family. We were applying for my son's citizenship. We're applying for my wife's permanent residency. I was building my business. We had a situation with our residencies in Turkey, like we were wondering when we should be renewing them and if it was going to be possible. I hosted my first retreat. Starting up a business, our cash flow was like really high some months and really low some other months, and it was just up and down, up and down, up and down like that. And then there was the whole, war in Ukraine, and that's the neighboring country to Turkey. So like all of this stuff was happening at the same time, right? And even now here in Sri Lanka, at the end of January, our residencies in Turkey expired, and we didn't feel like applying for renewal only to be rejected because a lot of other Persians were being rejected. And then they were only given 30 days to leave. And we didn't want to be in that situation. So we decided that we were going to move to Sri Lanka, thanks to Sarvanas. She did some research and it looked like Sri Lanka was a really great option. So within 9 days, we went from idea to buying tickets to moving and getting rid of our apartment and closing all of our accounts in Turkey and, saying goodbye and packing up all of our stuff. And these flights that we had bought, they didn't include that much luggage and there wasn't options to upgrade. So it was very stressful. And we had to do it very quickly because of the residencies expiring. So like all of these kinds of things. And you know, while we've been here, I had dengue and I was in the hospital for several days. I took calls from my students and one group call, just because of the way the timing worked out, in the hospital, right? Now, I don't say this to promote this like grind and hustle culture, okay? The reason why I say that is because it was the last 1 to 2 days that I was in the hospital. So I took one or two calls on Saturday and I was discharged on the Sunday, and I was already noticeably improved on the Friday and the Saturday. Okay, so I know I'm not saying take calls even if you're in the hospital because that's how you do it. No, I was already feeling so much better. So I was in a place where I could take calls and it wasn't going to be implicating my health at all. But you know, this is kind of my point too, is that I was in Turkey and I traveled in Turkey with my parents and a little bit with my wife. And then we moved here to Sri Lanka, and we've had to move villas like 2 or 3 times. And now we have this villa, but now the season is ending here. And you know, then I had dengue, and right now, as I'm filming this, my wife is sick. By the time it comes out, you know, hopefully she'll be better, should be. But the point being that right now, despite all the things we're going through in my life, I'm still able to help my students because my content, my theory is pre-recorded. And that means that it's not about me. It's not about when I'm available to teach a class and then everyone come to the studio, right? It's about when the student has time in their time zone, in their life, they watch the content at their convenience. And in my opinion, that's a much better way of helping people and allowing you to live your life than saying, come to this studio at this time. First of all, you're only helping people who are within a certain amount of kilometers, probably, you know, less than 10, who are available at that time and want your class. Versus if you're teaching a group class online of any kind, you know, you do avoid a lot of those. You know, you're not bound by location, and it's just about availability. But it's just less of the same. Whereas when the content is recorded, the students can just attend at their own convenience. Some students in my course, they might be fine watching 2 hours worth of content. Other students might need to take it, you know, 15 to 30 minutes at a time. That's up to them, that's their choice. And I believe that an online course is one of the best ways of appealing to people's ability to study at their own convenience and schedule. You know, maybe they need to go through the material a few times before they apply it. Maybe they just need to see it once. Beautiful. What this does in combination with the community group calls is it gives students the freedom to study at their own pace and apply the practical concepts that are being taught. And at the same time, it allows them a set schedule for when to connect with me live on Zoom calls, right? And then in the middle, we've got a Facebook group so that, you know, they can post in there, other students can participate and provide support, and I can go in there and help out in the comments as needed, you know, sort of like not always instantaneously, but just being a little bit more, you know, if I can get back to them like in an hour or two, something that's still helpful for them, right? So I think this is the best way to have that balance, and it's going to allow you to do more in your life. But I can say, like, I can honestly say that the past year has been a pretty hard year. I realize that there are people who have it way harder than myself, but a lot of what we've been working on wouldn't have been possible if I had to be live for every single thing that I taught. And really, it just comes down to, if yoga teachers really do want to help people, in my opinion, this is the best way to get that process started. I agree that there's something beautiful that cannot be replicated about an in-person, face-to-face connection, interaction, experience. Absolutely. But the thing is, I'm not gonna hold that like, oh, face-to-face is the absolute best, so I'm just not gonna do anything else to help people, right? I do face-to-face. Last summer in August of 2022, yeah, I had one of the students who attended my course join me from England. He flew to Turkey and he joined me for a private yoga retreat. And we were able to connect one-on-one, do the deep dive that he needed, help him with his business, help him with the mindset, help him with the asana, give him a bit of time for relaxation. And we got to meet in person. Like we had done the teacher training online, so I'd only met him online, right? So I think there's definitely a beautiful space for that. It just comes down to that's not the best way to help people every time. And if that's the only way we're gonna help people, then the number of people that get our support as yoga teachers in this time when the world really needs it is extremely small, right? And I think, you know, if we're gonna be honest here, I think a lot of teachers point to this. Face-to-face is the best way. In-person asana classes or pranayama or meditation or whatever are the best. So I'm not gonna do online. And I think that this is a avoidance tactic to facing the fears that come up with putting yourself out there online, or being scared about what to charge online, or being intimidated by the tech. Just my opinion, right? And it's okay to have that. It's okay to have those fears, right? But is it okay to have those fears and not help people online because you don't want to move past those fears? I think as yoga teachers, we're called to lean into that fear and that discomfort and explore it and apply all the practices that we say are so good for everyone. That's my opinion. What are your thoughts on that? Let me know in the comments. Should yoga teachers lean into fear and discomfort so that they can set an example and help their students better? Or should teachers just stick to in-person classes because that's the absolute best way to make an impact on people? Let me know in the comments down below. So if you're gonna be teaching online, I gotta tell you, it comes with a lot of benefits, okay? When I was in the hospital sick, my students were still able to study and learn from me. They're still able to do homework. They're still able to take actions. And I did have to rearrange a couple of private calls, no big deal. All the students were fine. And then a couple days later, after I was back home and, you know, fully healed, we just had the calls. So it's perfectly fine. There's lots of powerful advantages to doing this. And I think that most students are ready and willing to learn something online. And you as the yoga teacher need to explain how you're gonna help students overcome something specific. Maybe it's accessing a certain asana or a group of asanas. Maybe it's weight loss. Maybe it's something on the mindset level. Maybe it's something on building a routine. You know, here's the thing. If you really do want to help people, you can't just help people by repeating a technique, okay? This is one big thing that I see yoga teachers always messing up on. And that is, oh yeah, I'm showing people the benefits of this asana, or how to be more spiritual with pranayama, or, chakra imbalances, yeah? That is the what, right? What are you teaching, okay? Now, I show yoga teachers what to do in setting up a payment page on Stripe so that they can, receive funds and deliver digital goods and services, right? But yoga teachers don't care about that if I don't explain what that's gonna do for them, right? So a yoga teacher isn't gonna care about a Stripe checkout page until I connect it with, okay, this is one of the ways you can earn online, and it's going to automatically deliver your ebook after the student checks out. This way you save the time of having to deliver this to every student. You automate the entire process, and now you can focus more on teaching or taking other teacher trainings or just enjoying more free time. Okay? So like in this case here, a lot of tech stuff yoga teachers don't really care about until it's connected with something that they want to do in their life. And that's the same if you're setting up something as a yoga teacher for your students, right? Just saying, okay, I'm going to show people how to correct their chakra imbalances. Well, which people, right? So for example, if you were helping somebody who's recently divorced how to rebalance their chakras, that makes sense, because you can say, look, you've got imbalances in the heart, probably, imbalances in the sacral, and I'm going to show you some techniques in asana practice. I'm going to show you some meditative practices. I'm going to show you some pranayama practices that are going to help you get over the trauma of divorce. Okay, so do you see that? So now you are going to do certain techniques. You are going to be giving certain cues. You are going to be positioning your class and strategies in a way that appeals to people who are going through the process of divorce. And maybe you've identified, people who are in the process of divorce but have not officially signed the papers yet. Or maybe you're helping people who have just recently signed their divorce papers and are now looking for that recovery, right? Do you see here, these are two stages in the same journey, but they're completely different parts. Someone, or we can even add a third part, someone who's just realized that they're going to need to get a divorce and start this journey is a very different stage of the journey than someone who is in the thick of it and someone who's just signed the papers and completely out of their marriage now, okay? Each of those stages is going to require different levels of support, perhaps some different techniques, and they're going to be looking for different levels of understanding and compassion from someone, right? So that is one very easy, obvious example. And you would tailor your content about imbalanced chakras to the specific stage of those. Let's just say there's 3 stages, to one of those specific stages, right? That's what I'm talking about when I say help people solve a specific problem. So, if you really want to be teaching online, I'd recommend thinking about what it is you're going to be helping people do. And it has to be something, try to think about something that's not yoga based. Don't put deep in your practice. Don't put, purify your nadis. Don't put balance your chakras. Those are all things you're going to do. Those are all things that are just going to happen anyways, right? What practical day-to-day life thing can you help people do by teaching them specific yoga techniques? That's what you need to do. And if you can do that, you will be able to teach online successfully. Students will have no problem paying for what you offer, because what you're offering is not just how to do Nadi Shodhana. I can just go watch a YouTube video on that, right? But if you say, look, I'm gonna work with you on overcoming your fear of public speaking, and the way we're gonna work on that includes Nadi Shodhana. Do you see? Right? So yoga is a vehicle to achieving something, but what is it that they're achieving? Figure that out, communicate that to your students, and they'll have no problem paying. If you'd like to learn more, I've got a free workshop in the link below. I'll show you a lot more about this kind of stuff, how you can get into the mindset, how you can be charging rates that actually support you as an income, and how you can learn this alongside other people who are in the same space. If you'd like to learn more, click the link down below. I'll see you there.